Golconda cops behaving like the moral police. Editor South TS Sudhir now brings us up to speed with all the developments in Peninsula.
Thanks. On the Peninsula update tonight, a case of moral policing, as Gaurav was just mentioning, by an inspector in Hyderabad police. The incident, in fact, took place in November, but it came to light now after the video of the incident went viral. Now, the story goes that a hyper-local website was shooting for a profile on this inspector of the Hyderabad police and wanted to shoot him in action. And that's perhaps where the cop got a bit carried away. When he saw a group of about 5 to 6 girls and boys near the Seven Tombs, a historical site in Hyderabad, he decided to indulge in some counseling by making those sit-ups, as you can see in those shots.
Maybe what the girls have done, bunking classes, that was wrong. But what is the action of the police? They could have asked the parents, they could have done the counseling, they could have put up the lady inspectors there, lady police officers to do counseling, not to roam, not to go like that. But instead of doing all these things, catching hold of the burqas, making them sit up without the lady officers, posting on a website, that has created a very, very, very bad image of the Muslim community.
I find this whole trend very scary, and I find the silence by the top officials equally scary, because in their silence they are promoting, this kind of behavior. I mean, this is not policing. This is not enforcement. This is for me, how different is this person from, say, RSS moral policing brigade or Shakti Vahinis or some other Vahinis. All the incidents that happen in Mangalore and Bangalore, which we so vociferously condemn.
Officers here at the Hyderabad Police Commissionerate argue that it cannot be a lose-lose situation for the cops. They say some of these areas are secluded and untoward incidents can take place, and therefore it is a social responsibility of the cops to ensure that the public remains safe. Joining us now from Hyderabad is former DGP of Andhra Pradesh, Mr. C. Anjaney Reddy. Mr. Reddy, the police would argue that they need to be on vigil and guard against such antisocial elements of this kind who are there at such historic sites. Do you take that as an acceptable excuse?
Well, they should be on the lookout for antisocial elements, but that does not mean they interfere with people's freedoms. You cannot say that, because we are looking for antisocial elements, we can interfere with the freedom of people sitting there.
Mr. Reddy, most often we do see that police officers do get carried away. Do you think they need some kind of training in basic counseling?
In fact, on the day this incident took place in Anantapur, I spoke to the director AP Police Academy also. I told him there seems to be some deficiency in training. We'll have to make people sensitive, the police officers sensitive to the suffering of people, and we should, tell them what is right and what is not right, how not to ill-treat people. All these things have to be brought into the training curriculum. I am of the opinion police force needs sensitization. In places like Andhra Pradesh, where they have been fighting violence for a long time, whether it is extremist violence or some other kind of violence, some kind of desensitization has taken place. We have to undo that by better training programs.
Mr. Reddy, you spoke about desensitization, and as you mentioned, there was this case of the incident in Anantapur where a woman officer beat up those murder suspects in full public. There was an incident which came from Indore a few days back. Do you think that the police force essentially believes that the public at large approves of such lathi-happy behavior by policemen?
That is one, people in fact, very often people expect the police to do this kind of things, but that is no excuse for police to do that. Police should understand their functioning within the four corners of the law. What people's expectations may be beyond the four corners of the law. If you are not functioning within the four corners of the law, you are not functioning like a trained police officer.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Anjaney Reddy, for that perspective. And obviously, lessons have to be learned by both the senior as well as the junior officers in the police force in India. Moving on to an extremely shocking story of an attempt to rape from Davangere district of Karnataka. In fact, the incident took place at around 9:30 p.m. on Saturday when this girl, a 19-year-old, was returning home from her dance rehearsal. And as she was coming home, she met this friend who offered to give her a ride. And obviously, the girl accepted, but instead of going home, the friend took her to a desolate spot and attempted to rape her. The girl, trained in karate, however, threw a few punches and fought him bravely. Enraged by her resistance, the boy picked up a boulder and attacked her. He tried to smash her head and she fell to the ground bleeding profusely. She screamed for help, but nobody came to her rescue. However, taken back by her spirited defense, the boy fled the spot and she crawled back home after some time. Based on the complaint filed by the victim's family, Davangere police have arrested the accused and he has been sent to judicial custody. Meanwhile, the victim suffered injuries on her head, eye, jaw and legs and even lost some of her teeth. She is undergoing treatment at Bapuji Hospital in Davangere town.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಫೋನ್ ಸ್ವಿಚ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ನೇನಪ್ಪ ಅಂದರೆ ಅವಳು ನಂಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಡ್ಯೂಟಿನಲ್ಲಿರ್ತೀನಿ ಊಟಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಂಜೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಬೇಗ ಬಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಬರೋಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಇವಳು ಹಿಂಗೆ
ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಜನ
ಅವಳು ಕೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್
ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ರಿ
ನೀವು ಹುಡುಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಥಳೀಯ ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ BCA ಓದ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನ ಹಿಂದಿನ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಅವನು ಇವಳು ಪರಿಚಯ ಮೋಟರ್ ಸೈಕಲ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡೋಗಿ ಅವಳನ್ನ ಕೂಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅವ್ರ ತಂಗಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ ಅವಳು ಈಗ ಒಂದು 10 ನಿಮಿಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಬಂದ ನಂತರ ಇಲ್ಲೇನೋ ಒಂದು ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲ್ ಹತ್ರ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಬಾಪೂಜಿ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲ್ ಹಿಂದ್ಗಡೆ ಒಂದು ಸಂಧಿ ಇದೆ ಗ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಂದು ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಬದುಕ್ತಾರೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅನಿಸ್ತದೆ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೇಂಜರ್ ಅಪಾಯ ಏನು ಜೀವಕ್ಕೆ ಅಪಾಯ ಇಲ್ಲ ಹುಡುಗನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ ಆದಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ ಪತ್ತೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಈ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರಕರಣ ದಾಖಲೆ
ಹುಡುಗಿ ಈಗ ಲೋವಿತ್ತಂತೆ ಸರ್ ನಾವಿಬ್ಬರು ಲೋವಿತ್ತಂತ.
Joining us now from Bangalore on the Peninsula Update is my colleague Pratibha Raman, who has been reporting on the story. Pratibha, obviously the girl must be traumatized at this entire incident because here the perpetrator was not some stranger but her own friend, an acquaintance. And if it was not for her training in karate, she could not have defended herself. What are the inputs you are getting from Davangere on this?
Well, Sudhir, if you actually look at this particular case, the victim is in a state of trauma because it was the trust that has been exploited because it is a friend, be it father or family members or even a friend. Today, trust has been broken down to several pieces and that the relationship has been exploited by several of these men. And all this boils down to the kind of notion about gender, about sexuality that people have, the underlying current, the underlying statement that women can never be equal to men. And many activists, be it in Davangere as well as the entire state of Karnataka, are really rising up to this and questioning the basic fact of a woman. When will there be an occasion where a woman can safely walk on the streets of not just a remote district of Karnataka, but then any kind of bylane, even in the metropolitan cities of the nation? And that is the question that these activists are fighting for. They even say that even the law enforcers are being really very biased. Only those cases of rape are getting prominence, that get prominence by the media are really having these law enforcers jumping to action. Whereas there are so many other cases of rape where the victim has to really fend for herself, fight for herself, run from pillar to post to even get her complaint lodged. And that is the situation that we are talking about in today's society. When will there be an occasion where a woman can safely walk on the streets without a care in the world at 9:30 p.m.?
Right. Thanks, Pratibha, for joining us there from Bangalore with all the details. We do hope the girl recovers soon, but obviously the wounds of this trauma will take a long time to heal. Thanks a lot, Pratibha, for joining us there. News now from Kerala, where the Aranmula near Thiruvananthapuram is all set to become a major flashpoint. This over the proposed airport project, which is going to come up in Aranmula. But essentially in the line of fire is a 1600-year-old Parthasarathi temple. Aranmula in Kerala is also known as a heritage village under UNDP norms. But all that is set to change. In fact, Aranmula could well be Kerala's own Nandigram. Naveen Nair sent us this report.
The story of violation began in 2011, when the then V.S. Achyutanandan government notified the heritage village as an industrial zone, an overnight decision to which last month the UPA government at the centre gave an environmental clearance. But even a section of the congressmen are now in doubt.
People have no way out but to question this environmental clearance obtained by concealing material facts before the National Green Tribunal only. And there will be continuous agitation of the local public.
Meanwhile, environmental activists in Aranmula allege that the environmental impact assessment study done for the airport was nothing but a sham.
If the Environment Ministry, the ministry's name is Forest and Environment, for what is their aim? The ministry is set up for the conservation of environment, protect the environment. Now they are destroy the environment.
It is now beyond doubt that the KGS project does involve shady land deals overlooking all environmental concerns. But there is something bigger brewing here. This is a 1600-year-old world-famous Parthasarathi temple. The very existence of this temple is at stake now.
For most temples across South India, the pole forms the essence, a symbol of its existence. But with an international airport planned hardly 500 meters away, the pole comes as a barrier. Locals are now convinced that the airport will do nothing but kill the temple and the traditions of Aranmula.
We are sure that they cannot touch this temple. But we are feared about the puja, daily rituals, our belief. We won't permit it.
While the Sangh Parivar has silently housed 500 men in houses in and around the temple, the CPM has meanwhile occupied the proposed site with its Adivasi families. All signs of a mass uprising.
You know, we already have 3 big international airports, plus another one is coming up at Kannur, and we don't want the fields of Aranmula to be destroyed. We don't want those hills to be destroyed, that wetland to be destroyed, in the name of meaningless development for the benefit of a private company.
Actually, people in Aranmula wanted the project, but it is certain some vested interest who has got some wrong misgivings or misunderstandings about the project, that they are agitating against the project.
From January first week, the agitation is going to intensify, with civil society in Kerala cutting across all barriers, set to descend in Aranmula for a non-stop satyagraha. Real headaches ahead for the Oman Chandi government, which already has a 10% stake in the project. With Naveen Nair in Aranmula, Shujoy, Headlines Today.